the whole thing, like when the student's ready kind of thing, it showed up. And this time it all started to make sense. And now I've become just like, it's all I talk about or think about. It's not all I talk about. But
No, you talk about other things. A lot of things may have the lens of human design.
Everything has the lens of human design now. Human design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, the human design specialist.
And I'm Haley, the human design newbie. Listen in as we explore how leaning into your authentic self is your ultimate path to success. Today, we're diving into
how we got here in a podcast.
Yeah, not how we got here, like in the universe or anything.
We'll get into that.
Oh my.
We'll baby steps, small steps. So, I guess one place to start is, well, I told you my name's Dana, but my name's Dana Phillips, and your name is,
for the moment, Haley Phillips.
Haley Phillips, that's right. So we are related by a very close relationship. I'm your mom. And as far as we know, yes, as far as we know, well, I do know there's no human design podcasts out there with mother and daughter. So that makes us unique. But
yes,
I guess maybe people have questions. Why would a mother and daughter be doing a human design podcast? Well, we're here to answer those questions. So,
yes.
Short backstory is
how did you first learn about human design?
Good question. Well, I have always been fascinated with trying to figure myself out and figure other people out. As far back as I could remember, like I think it could go as far as when I was maybe, I don't know, 10, 12, somewhere around there. My mom had this, it's called Linda Goodman. She was the author, this horoscope or astrology book. And so it went through all the sun signs and everything. And she had a paperback copy of it. And I swear that thing was just well worn by me because it gave descriptions of your sign, your high points, your low points, all the, what you might be like as a parent and as a coworker in a relationship, like all these things. Like it was detailed. And I would always try to find something that helped me understand myself a little bit better. I've just always been fascinated by it. So even though you've known me your whole life, we really started intensifying this journey actually after you become a mom, because you try to become a better person when you have kids. And well, most people do, I hope. But I found human design because I've always been on this path for understanding, but also I hate to use all the cliche words, but the self-discovery and finding self-awareness. And, I went down the yoga path. And of course, I was heavily into that for
yoga, Reiki,
yep,
the chakras,
meditation. Energy, all that. And I just kept collecting all these modalities and things and did a lot of like personal work. Those are silent quotation marks you can't see.
Nor can you hear them.
I probably through this quest of trying to find things, and now we have the internet and finding different personality typing tools and everything. I don't know exactly when it happened, but somewhere along the line, I stumbled across something called human design. And it was, I don't even know how it was laid out, if it was a strange Google search. I can't tell you. All I know is that I did the thing where putting my birth information in, and it gave me a human design bodygraph, showed me my type and strategy and authority, which we will definitely dig into in this podcast, but it didn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to me. And there was
kind of confusing.
Yeah, there was very little information because it came from one of the original human design sources of information. I don't remember if it was, there's one called Jovian Archive, and then there's, I think, the International Human Design School. I don't even know, those two might be the same thing. I don't know. Anyways, there was glimmers there, though, in there that was like, oh, that's interesting. I could kind of relate to certain things, but not really. I even went so far to download, I don't know if it was that time or a little bit after that, this like 40-page report that was supposed to explain everything, and it explained nothing because, again, it was written in the language of the
old English
design. Might as well. So I'd put it away. I'd bring it back out because it went through every single channel, gate. It went through everything, but it didn't make any freaking sense at all. So, it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago through my work with, Beauty Counter. Somebody on my team, actually, she's a therapist, of some sort. She mentioned that she knew stuff about human design, so that she had worked. So she wasn't like a specialist or anything. She just kind of knew about it. And I don't even know how I saw that either. Cause you know me, I'm always paying attention apparently. And so I asked her if she'd look at my design, and she did. And she was basically really just able to look at my type part, which I'm a generator. And what I heard, I was not interested in at all because it said I was meant to work and I had to wait to respond. And like most people, when they first hear that, they're like, that makes no sense. I don't want to hear that.
Like, no.
So fast forward, because once again, I put it aside, but it kept popping up. But then, so the pandemic hit and everybody is, at home, shut in, spending way more time online. And I started seeing human design pop up again, but in different ways. And a lot of it was, let's be honest, it was on Instagram. And I started seeing, it was a much younger group of women talking about it. So they were looking at it in different ways. And this time, when I started looking into it, everything just started to like literally click into place. I started just gathering all kinds of information and was literally able to start, I don't know, it just, the whole thing, like when the student's ready kind of thing, it showed up. And this time it all started to make sense. And now I've become just like, it's all I talk about or think about. It's not all I talk about. But
no, you talk about other things. A lot of things may have the lens of human design.
Everything has the lens of human design now. And so I also, part of my design is wanting to share this information. And one thing I think a lot of people do is once they are looking at their chart, they start looking at other people's charts. And you do have to know the person's time, place of birth, time, date, and place, right? Well, obviously, I know your time, date, place. Yep. There's no question about that. I was there.
Sup.
So I started looking, and I know you very well. You're my daughter. So I started looking up you. I started your dad, my husband, which I don't know his exact time of birth. So he's still a bit of an enigma. I mean, I'm still decoding him. I could probably
But you think that you've gotten fairly close.
Yeah.
Because it's like between like day and like morning and afternoon, only like one thing or a couple things change, right?
Quite a few things change.
But one of them makes more sense based on
lately. Yeah. I've actually had to dig into some more astrology parts of it. But anyway, so we're getting ahead. Anyway, so I just really started looking at you, and then I would come across anybody else I would know if that was willing to share their information with me, to look at their charts and see what I could learn about the system through people that I knew. And because that is a good way to start looking at it, because
it makes it less abstract.
Yeah, even though you yourself may not be aware that you're like living out your design a lot of times, other people could see aspects of you for sure more clearly than you can. And so anyways, so I started talking about it all the time and you started asking me more questions. And why was that?
Because of my design, my headspace.
You're curious.
But I am curious. I like to know how things work.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
That's for sure. And I don't know. I've always been curious about things.
Everything or?
Not everything. Taxes suck.
Taxes. Which, yeah. Yes, taxes do suck.
Yes.
So anyways, I have started a business of really doing human design readings, and it's been a lot of fun. But I also have seen that I would like to have resources out there for people to have access to, either through me or whatever, before, a lot of times even before they come to a reading, because there is so many layers to human design. And it's good to have some foundational understanding in place first. And so I do have on my website, humandesignhive.com, currently a free training that just kind of walks you through the chart. So if you're wanting to look at your own chart, you could go there, find a way to download, or it has a way for you to download your own chart. And that's probably the first and best thing to do is to start there. But
because it's like a very high level overview of it, right?
Yeah, it's actually where to start. And it's literally like called How to Get Started with Human Design. It's really just so you could look at the Bodygraph and know what the information means, because it's a lot. So I've had the idea for a long time of wanting to do a podcast. Certain reasons being, I love podcasts. I listen to them all the time. You do as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, all the time.
Work at home, and so you have spaces of time to... Yeah. Your generation, though, you can tend to listen to people talking and listen to podcasts and do work at the same time, because your work is not just... You're an accountant. You're a project accountant, right?
I work with numbers more than words.
Exactly. So... Me, I have to turn down the radio if I'm driving so I can see where I'm going.
If I'm getting close and I have to like find a parking spot, then yes, I also turn down the radio.
Turn down. I mean, I can't.
I can't see. But I do notice that sometimes if I'm listening to a podcast, I won't always necessarily like follow along with what's happening in it, because I listen primarily to like true crime. Mm-hmm. So I'll like be listening and then I'm like, who is this person? How did we get here? And I'm like, so the more interesting ones, I try not to listen while I'm working.
Yeah. That was me reading books. I could do that reading books. I'd be reading a book and then realize, what am I reading?
How long have I been here?
I have to go back and read that again. I'm a scanner. So anyways, so we both love podcasts. We both listen to a lot of podcasts, and I think podcast is a good medium for this kind of information. There is a visual component to understanding human design, but there's so much that we could talk about and explain, so that even if, we're not showing you anything, if you have your own Bodygraph, that you're looking at, you could follow along for sure. But, I actually started recording a podcast by myself, because I'm used to doing things by myself, and I didn't know anybody would be interested in doing something like that. And what's your podcast experience, Haley? Have you done podcasting before?
Why, yes. Me and my fiance had a brief stint of a podcast. I think we did 5 episodes.
Yeah, I liked it.
But it was like it was fun. It was just, it wasn't right. It was an outdoorsy podcast.
Yeah. And that was right at the same time, too, as the pandemic, right? Shutting everything down.
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah. So it's all right. meant to try things out, especially he is. He's meant to try things out for sure, which we can get into that, to his design too. He may never listen to this podcast.
He will never listen to this.
I don't know. He's been interested. He's asked me questions too about your design, really to get you to be more productive, he says.
To be more like him.
Be more like him, which is one great thing. I mean, this is one of the best things about human design is not only you see yourself, but it really shows you how we interact with each other and why some people are certain ways and why others aren't. And it's not flaws at all. So last time we saw each other, we talked about, we've talked about wanting to do a podcast before. That'd be fun.
Yeah. But the last time we got serious.
Yeah. We got serious as we can.
Serious.
I have a lot of information in my head because part of my design as well, which I already knew this about myself, but now through the lens of human design, I can see, oh, that makes sense why I'm that way. I love information and I'm constantly researching, gathering more than I need to, gathering way more than I need to. And so it's like I have all of it stuck in my head and it's hard to get it to come out.
Sorry, you have this, I guess it's almost a little pet peeve of mine. When we're watching a movie, you're like, I have to look up who this actor is. And then you just like go into all their other movies and all this and like, watch the movie.
I thought you were going to say something about how I looked right now because we're on Zoom.
No.
Like, what am I doing? Yes, I do. And Google's bad for that because I used to just have to wonder. Now I can have access to the world of information. So yeah, I have a line 1 profile, which, as I said, we'll explain in future episodes. But if you're a line 1, you love information and you will always go down the rabbit hole of gathering more and more information. But like I said, it's like a bottleneck in my head. It can't come out a lot of times. And it's frustrating to me because I don't know where to start sometimes. But I have discovered that when people ask me questions, it's much easier to access the information. And so
that's where I come in.
Love to ask questions. And I'll put it like this. So I'm a Reiki master. I did, all the levels of training for Reiki and love Reiki, love everything about it. And I always had a hard time explaining it to people because it's one of those things that is hard to explain. But I didn't realize how much I like the technicality, the actual information. I didn't know how much I knew until I started teaching it. And I had, a couple classes of teaching people how to be Reikis and bringing them into the system. And I'd always worry that I wouldn't have enough information to tell them. And then I would realize oh, I only have 3 hours this morning to convey this. And I'm already not
You're
even
I have 5 hours of information.
Yeah. But it showed me that, but having students, quote unquote, like that, they could ask me questions and it was a lot more free flowing. And so we thought it would be fun to have that kind of format because there are other podcasts out there and there's some really good podcasts out there. There's some that have co-hosts, but a lot of times the co-hosts are on the same kind of. So we thought it'd be kind of fun to, maybe Haley could be the point of view of a lot of people that are new to the system, are looking to a podcast to get more information. And I mean, I don't know about you, but you listen to a podcast and I always have so many questions too, right? And I want to know, well, what does that mean? Or what does that mean? And I think you're kind of good at picking up on that. And I think also I'll probably have a way we could add in here in the show notes, a way for people to ask us questions directly too, that maybe we could address in future episodes. So that would be fun too.
A form on your website.
Yeah. What do you want to know? So we said, why not? Why not give this podcast thing a try? Because one thing that we'll talk about a lot in the human design system is it is all an experiment. it does show us how we're all uniquely designed and how different we are and how we're meant to interact with each other. But it also has this aspect to it of just try it, see what works. So that's, I think, what we're going to do with this podcast. What do you think?
Yeah. Give it a whirl and see where it goes. Because I always seem to make it, in our family, we have a joke that I always make things about me.
True.
So I am very intrigued to learn more than what you've already shared with me about my own personal design.
Okay. Well, it'll be helpful for a lot of people out there, and to dig into our differences, like I said, with the dynamics between us, between like the fact that I'm your mom and main conditioner in the world. Well, that's taking a lot of credit. You did have a brother and you had two brothers and your dad. They contributed, but projector, generator, because I'm a generator. You're a projector. I have emotional authority. You do not. You have splenic authority. You have defined head. I do not. I have completely open head. You have a defined root. I do not. So there's just all these different ways we can explore that. And really in the future, I'd love to bring other people on too, that we could kind of dig around in their design. Yeah. It would be
Get Snoopy.
Snoopy all up in there.
Snoopy.
It'd be fun. I'm just going to say, we'll just, see where it goes. Because also as a generator, I'm here just to respond, see what shows up, and we'll see how it feels. So,
and I think we'll have fun with it.
I do too.
We find ourselves funny.
If anything, even if nobody ever listens, great opportunity to get to know you better, Haley.
So.
And you should have said, and you too, Mom, but that's okay.
Oh, and you too, Mom.
Oh, okay, cool.
Just Thanks. Cut the other part out.
Thanks. I get it. I get you. All right. Well, I think we've said enough for today. What do you think?
I think so. We should let these people go.
Yeah. Yep. So if you want to come back for more, we're going to be talking about the mechanics of the system, type, strategy, authority, centers, profile.
There's so much.
There's
much. So much.
Yeah. But you're really going to get to know Haley's design so that
what can I say?
It'll be like you just know her. Okay. Well, all right, Haley. You have a good night.
All right. You too.
And bye.
Bye.
Well, you made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share this podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Catch you in the next episode.